This is Nasha Kasha, Ukrainian Almanac, 28 minutes of stories for everyone about Ukrainian life. I'm your reporter, Stefan Andrusiak. This is episode 228. Much of it was recorded 4 years ago. Remember this?
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
America had a new leader. Donald John Trump was elected to become the 45th President of the United States of America on October 8, 2016. It was a rugged campaign, to put it mildly, a loyal following on each side, and, to the surprise of many, a new leader emerged for a leading nation. Today, Nasha Kasha reflects on leaders and on those who follow them. In the fall of 2016, the American people chose between two newsworthy, rich, powerful candidates. It's 2020, we're in the middle of an election campaign, and the American people are about to do it again. But this show is about a humble man who became the most unlikely of leaders for the Ukrainian people. His name is Father Josephat Jean, a French-Canadian by birth who is still widely revered, even though one of his big plans to lead Ukrainians into the bush of Northern Quebec and to build there a monastery and a farming community did not turn out so well. Still today, there is no bitterness in the voices of the people who remember him. Far from it. Here is the duo Cashton. Claude Mackenzie and Florent Volant grew up in Maliotenam. It's an Innu reserve east of Sept-Îles, Quebec. Their song is called Follow Me.
Wit matankini eshe sengoma Chi wit matankini eshe rutaya Chi kamwenda nuwa Wiche winani kwindetaya Wapukuya Sembakuya Utemamu detaya Hey
The song Follow Me in the Innu language is pronounced Ashtam. Ashtam in Ukrainian means all the way there, far away. Ashtam. Today's story is about Father Josephat Jean and the people who followed him all the way there. Я називаюся Стефан Андрусяк. Програма «Наша Каша» транслюється по хвилях радіоефірі CHRW 94.9 FM на кампусі Western University у місті Лондон, Онтаріо, Канада. Пропонуємо вашій увазі. Сьогодні презентуємо репортаж про отця Josephat Jean і про населення у північному Квебеку під назвою Шептицький. I'm about to quote directly from Father Jean's biographer, Zonia K1. Her book, A Turbulent Life, was published in 1990 by Clio Editions. This article appeared in a publication called The Quebecer in 1985, and K1 writes, because Ukrainians in Quebec live mainly in Montreal, few people are aware that a rural Ukrainian colony once existed in this province. It was in the remote northwestern region of Abitibi. Father Jean was born in Saint-Fabien near Rimouski, Quebec in 1885. After being ordained in 1910 as a Roman Catholic priest, he switched to the Eastern Catholic rite. He did this to minister to incoming Ukrainian immigrants. In April 1925, he was given a special commission to find a site for a monastery for Studite monks. The Studites are a Ukrainian religious order to which Father Jean himself belonged. According to the plan of Metropolitan Andrei Sheptitsky, Catholic primate of Western Ukraine at the time, the monastery was to have had around it a colony of Ukrainian Catholic farmers. They would benefit from the spiritual care of the monks, and at the same time, they'd help support the monastery and serve as a source of new recruits for religious vocations. The settlers were to come from Bosnia, where Ukrainian Catholics were being oppressed at the time. Some would also come from the Ukrainian province of Galicia, which was at that time part of Poland. As a possible site for the colony, Father Jean first considered the Peace River country of northern Alberta, but because of the region's distance and isolation, he declined an offer for land there. Instead, he turned his eyes to Abitibi, an area touted by the Quebec government of the day as having enormous agricultural potential. After discussions with the Ministry of Colonization, Father Jean was promised a block of land of 250 square miles near Lac Castagnier. That's about 30 miles north of the town of Amos. And by the way, Amos is about 590 kilometers or 365 miles north of Montreal. If the scheme proved successful, more lands would be reserved to accommodate up to 10,000 Ukrainian families. In July of 1925, Father Jean went to live on the colony site, on the shore of Lac Castagnier. He named the site Sheptitsky. Early in 1926, 3 Studite brothers arrived from Galicia. But the rigors of life on the colony, the poor health of some of the brothers, and lack of financial support doomed the monastery project altogether. After a few unhappy months at Sheptitsky, the brothers left. Some colonists eventually did come from Ukrainian provinces in Poland and from among Ukrainians already living in Canada. The first settlers on the colony were the Borshchowski family, Matvey and Vasil. They registered their lands in September of 1926. Colonists who would follow the Borshchowskis were each granted 100 acres, long, thin allotments laid out side by side in typical Quebec fashion.
Oui.
Votre grand-mère et votre grand-père?
Ici, c'est mon grand-père, ma grand-mère. Guida, Baba.
Tony Curillo is a descendant of those settlers.
Et eux autres ont arrivé dans la vague d'Ukrainiennes que le père Jean a portée à Shepteski.
When he isn't working in Nunavut, Mr. Curillo lives in a trailer only a few hundred meters from Lac Castagnier.
Et puis ici, à ma gauche, là, c'est mon père et ma mère.
Mr. Curillo has repaired gravestones and a large cross in the cemetery where his parents and grandparents are buried. And he's lobbying friends and politicians to help erect a display about the Ukrainians who followed Father Jean to this place, explaining why they came and why almost all of them left.
My name is Monique Cossette. I'm a Quebecois. I work in Nunavut, and I'm pleased to be the wife of half and half Ukrainian Marcel Curillo. He wants to maybe I don't know how to say in English, but a bust of Père Jean, you know, something.
A statue, a bust,
of Père Jean, and some picture because we can find some picture, and we're gonna write something. So. All the story of Père Jean, so because it's begin here,
so it doesn't get lost.
It's for the memories, just for the memories, to honor the memories.
The growing season from mid-June to the end of August was too short for the wheat and the varied garden crops that the Ukrainians were used to cultivating, and the sandy soil in the region did not live up to the promises of optimistic government officials. No schools had yet been established. Medical help was many miles away. The settlers lived largely off the land, on what they could grow in their gardens, catch in the lakes, or hunt in the bush. Only the onset of the Depression, which severely cut job prospects in the city, kept a handful of families on the colony eking out an existence as best they could. By 1935, it was clear that Sheptitsky was not going to grow. Father Jean left the colony for Montreal. Records from the Roman Catholic Church reveal that in early 1937, 9 Ukrainian families and perhaps a few bachelors still lived on the colony site. The monastery building has long since burnt down, and all that remains near the lake is a small cemetery with some stones bearing Ukrainian names: Mokry, Soup, Andrusishin. I visited what was once the Sheptitsky colony, and I spoke with 2 area residents. They were part of his dream. You're about to meet them. You're listening to Nasha Kasha, Ukrainian Almanac. We're heard on CHRW 94.9 FM in London, Ontario, Canada. Nasha Kasha comes to you from Radio Western 94.9 FM on the campus of Western University in London, Ontario, Canada. We're heard on CHMR 93.5 FM in St. John's, Newfoundland, on CKDU 88.1 FM in Halifax, on Local 107.3 FM in St. John, New Brunswick, on CJAS Radio 93.5 FM in Saint Augustine, Quebec, on CJLO 1690 AM in Montreal, on CFRC 101.9 FM in Kingston, on CFMU 93.3 FM in Hamilton, on CKMS 102.7 FM in Kitchener-Waterloo, on CJAM 99.1 FM in Windsor and Detroit, on CKLU 96.7 FM in Sudbury, on CILU 102.7 FM in Thunder Bay, on 101.5 UMFM in Winnipeg, on CJTR 91.3 FM in Regina, on CFMQ 98.1 FM in Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan, on CFBX 92.5 FM in Kamloops, on CIVL 101.7 FM in Abbotsford, on CJSF 90.1 FM in Vancouver, and on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo, British Columbia.
Моє ім'я є Василь Лесик. Я був уроджений в Шептицькій року 1935-го. І я жив, я мав 13 років, як мої родичі звідси пішли до Імос. Мій дідо, моїй мами тато, він перший приїхав. І моя мама зналася з моїм татом, вони не були женаті, але вони разом приїхали сюди, і Фадер Джан їх женив.
То досить така романтична думка.
То була романтична думка.
І тоді ви народилися, ви мали брати і сестри?
Я народився тут у Шептицькій, і Фадер Джан мене хрестив.
Він тут був кілька років.
Він тут був, я думаю, від 25 до 30, може 12 років. В той час то було дуже тяжко, бо то було дуже зимно. Моя мама називала цей пляс Сибір.
Не вбивайте мрію.
Vasil Lessig was baptized by Father Jean. His parents followed the priest here from Montreal. His French-speaking young friends couldn't actually pronounce the name Vasil, so they called him Marcel. Vasil would become mayor of Amos, and he would work in the regional social services area as its director. His dream had always been to return to La Castagne. He single-handedly built a cabin, moved here with his wife, but she died just 1 year later. He lives alone, he says, content in the quiet of his solitude. So how many years have you lived here?
Oh, it's been 20 years now.
And how would you describe this?
I could describe my Canadian cabin.
Yeah. How big is it?
It's about 20 by 16, but it has double stairs.
And you have the lake that Father Jean came here to settle.
That's the lake, and I have maybe an acre of land. This is all the trees that you see. I've planted them. And there's the flag, the Ukrainian flag there.
Синьо-жовтий прапор.
Yeah. Yeah.
Тут біля Lake Castange, де Father Jean хотів почати українське село.
Exactly.
Oui, moi, je suis Annie Prince.
Annie Prince has lived here all her life. She met Father Jean for the first time when she was 13.
J'ai 94 ans.
And she remembers him well, she says, particularly his generosity and how he cared for the colony, and in particular, how he fed the children regardless of their backgrounds.
Beaucoup, parce que moi, à ce moment-là, j'avais seulement 13 ans, là. Puis là, il disait, tu vas t'en venir, là, où est-ce que c'est qu'il faisait sa cuisine, là. Puis on avait communié, on était à messe, on avait communié, il fallait être à jeun depuis minuit le soir. Hein? Pour aller communier, il fallait être à jeun à ce moment-là. Fait que là, il disait, t'es venu à la messe communier, t'es à jeun, tu partiras pas comme ça, tu vas venir manger. Ah, il avait fait des bonnes crêpes, là. Ah, c'était bon, ça. Père Jean, il était bon cook. Ah oui.
We are 2 blocks away from Uspenia Bożej Materi, the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Ukrainian Catholic Church. It's in East End, Montreal.
Thanks for making time for us.
600 kilometers south of the old Sheptytsky settlement.
My name is Miroslav Belitsky. This was a person that fell in love with the Ukrainian Catholic faith, was adopted by the Ukrainians here in Montreal, and the foundation was, we are in our 53rd year, actually.
In mid-November every year, Miroslav Belitsky and a handful of volunteers prepare to host the Father Josephat Jean scholarships at the Uspenia Church Hall.
Miroslav Belitsky, я бувший голова фундації отця Josephat Жана, я був головою 6 років.
The foundation gives money to high school graduates, university and postgraduate students in the community.
Oh, this year I think it's around the $15,000 range.
Okay. And together over the years, how much money?
Well, like I say, we'll be nearing the $500,000 mark very soon.
It's their way of paying tribute to a fellow Quebecer who showed so much love for the Ukrainian people. Father Jean learned a language, became a Ukrainian monk, cleared brush. He blazed a trail, and only then did he ask his followers to believe. Ukrainians remember him for his many other successes and contributions. They also appreciated and still appreciate the goodness of his intent, even now as nature has reclaimed the Sheptytsky colony.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. We have to get together.
In other resettlement news, in the U.S., back on election night 2016, as results confirmed a much tighter race than most expected, many Americans tried to access the official site for immigration to Canada. That website crashed. Inquiries from the U.S. about moving to Canada make up 1/10 of the immigration site's traffic on any other given day. Election night, 1/2 of the searches were from the U.S. That's 100,000 inquiries. The Citizenship and Immigration website has fully recovered. To those still searching, you may want to note that there are welcoming neighbors next to La Castanier, and their families have experience sticking together while searching for promises and answers. Excerpts from the article about Father Jean, written by Zonia Kewan, were read with the permission of the author. In today's episode, you also heard Hail to the Chief, played by the U.S. Marine Band, O Holy God by the Cave Chamber Choir. And we close the show with another choir, this one, the Dnipro Choir of Edmonton, and a prayer. Владико неба і землі, Lord of heaven and earth.
To serve the people, and serve the people it will.
I gratefully acknowledge that partial funding for Nasha Kasha is provided by the Shuchenko Foundation and by the Ukrainian Credit Union. Back in a week, God willing. До милої зустрічі за тиждень часу, дорогі слухачі.
Rimouski